The War Report Podcast Network.
What's up and what's happening, everybody? It's Blake and Dustin, and we are here for another episode of the Uptempo Podcast. Dustin, we're here to talk about some key contributors that we think are going to be big-time guys for the Auburn Tigers this year, doing some over-unders. But first, man, how was your weekend been? How are you doing?
I got a 4-day weekend, dude. I don't have to go back to work till Wednesday. Thank you for the way the 4th of July fell this year. Been a big help to me. So just been hanging out, relaxing, man. Kind of boring. Not a whole lot of sports going on right now, but cooking out, having some drinks, man, putting some smoke in the air, having a good time, man, celebrating my freedom.
Love that, Dustin. Today I went and played some golf. It was hot as hell outside. I actually made it to the 16th hole and packed up, and we left because we were like, dude, we can't take this. This heat is just too much. But yeah, man, it's been a fun weekend for me. Unfortunately, I have to work a half a day tomorrow, so it is what it is. Gotta pay the bills, brother. But Dustin, if you want to, man, we can kick this thing off and we can get into these over-unders, and we got some, like I said, some key contributors that we think are going to have some breakout years, and we've thrown some numbers together that we think that these guys could smash. So, Dustin, we'll kick it off, brother. Who do you got first?
Number one, man, over-under 5 touchdowns for Cam Brown. Hugh Freeze, we know the production that Hugh Freeze brings out of his wide receivers. So the big question is, who's going to be wide receiver number 1 this year? Me and you kind of talked about it before the episode. We're like, who do we do this for? Shane Hooks? Do we do it for Shorter? Who's going to be the guy? And we just kind of both said it's got to be Cam Brown, because last year going into the season, we heard about how much of a camp he had, and then we see it. 9 receptions, 123 yards, only 2 touchdowns. Me and you both kind of think that's more just a scheme, and this year he should be ready to pop. So, Blake, start with you, man. Over or under here?
I'm going to go under. And the reason I'm going under, Dustin, is because I think this football team is going to have to spread the love. All right, you got Shorter out there. We know he's big body. I mean, 11 touchdowns at North Texas last year?
Yeah, 10 or 11. It was double digits.
Yeah, so double-digit touchdowns there. You got Shane Hooks. You're going to have Javarius Johnson. You got dudes, man. Jay Fair, I know people love him. So you're going to have to spread the love. And I'm just going to go under. I think Cam Brown's going to have a big year, but I just think having to spread things out, there's a bunch of guys that you can throw the football to this year. But I do like the frame. I do like the big body. I do like him with Shorter, and having both of those guys being able to go up and get 50-50 balls, right? That's been the problem for Auburn in years past. I guess you could say Seth was the last guy that could really go up and get it. But that's why I'm going to go under here, Dustin.
I hear you. It was funny because when we were putting this together, you had originally had the number at a lot higher, and I sent you the list of Auburn receivers since 2000. It's just not that good, dude. It's not that good. No. Darvin had, 10 in 2009, I believe, and then he had 9 in 2010. And then Seth a couple years back had 8, and those are the 3 best. Even Darius Slayton was the most underused wide receiver probably in my lifetime. I think he only had 6 back in 2017. So just not a lot of production at that wide receiver position. But I'm going to go 5 on the dot, man. I do think you made a point. It's going to have to be spread around. I think that receiving yardage, receiving touchdowns, and receptions are just going to kind of be spread. Because to be honest with you, Blake, I think Cam's like a 1.5. I don't think he's quite a go-to guy. And that's not a knock on him. I think he's the best that we got. I just don't know if that guy is on the roster yet. I think that's why Hugh's so hard after a Perry Thompson and a Cam Coleman. He's got to get that guy. But I think that Cam definitely will get 5 just in the red zone. Just in the red zone alone. I think that Hugh's play calling in the red zone, like you said, man, big body, and I'm hoping that he stays healthy, has a good fall camp. I expect him to. I think he's going to get 5 on the dot, and I'm going to give him north of 550 yards. I think he falls somewhere around 550 to 600. I think it's going to be a well spread out. Everybody's going to have in between 600 yards type kind of thing.
I agree with you 100%. But hey, how about you brought up Perry Thompson? Getting off topic just a second, has announced that he is in for Big Cat Weekend. How big is that? I
It's
mean,
big, man. KJ Bolden,
yeah,
and he's committing. I believe, like he announced, he's going to commit a week later, or maybe it's like 10 days, but it's shortly after. Big Cat's going to be one of his last
there we go.
events, man. So that's going to shape up to be a big weekend, and we're working on getting a guy in here to talk about all that. Next one, dude, just talked about the how effective Hugh Freeze is. He's known for his guys at wide receiver. He's also known for tight end. Elvin Ingram's still balling.
Yes.
Over under Rivaldo Fairweather, 450 yards, 5 touchdowns. Blake, last year at FIU, he had 27 receptions, 426 yards, and 3 touchdowns. One of the most sought after tight ends in the transfer portal. One of our first pickups, I believe our first pickup, but definitely one of the first. He really wanted this guy. What you see here about Rivaldo?
I think he's going to eat. I think he's going to be one of the best players on this offense. I think he goes north of 450 yards. I think he goes north of 5 touchdowns. And I think this is going to be an absolute monster over the middle of the field, Dustin. He is going to create mismatches. He can go up and get it. Nice hands, big body, physical across the middle, man. That's what we need. We know for years we went out without establishing the tight end with Gus, and it was just miserable at times. The middle of the field being wide open, and Auburn does not take advantage of it, right? But I think this is the cat right here, Rivaldo Fairweather, that can get it done, Dustin.
The part that drives me so crazy about the Gus thing, dude, is that with Philip Lutzenkirchen when he was OC, it was beautiful. It worked.
Mm-hmm.
And then with CJ Uzomah at the start of his head coaching career at Auburn, especially in 2013, big catches, man. CJ was still underused, but big catches down the red zone. Gus used tight ends at the start of his career, and just like kind of everything with Gus, he quit doing it as it went. You know what I mean? Like he just quit. It was so funny to listen to Gus say, people were like, hey, why aren't you going up tempo anymore? And they figured it out. No, they haven't, dude. When you do it, it works. Yep. Remember that A&M game a couple years ago, wherever we were down and he finally decided to go up tempo and we came back. Like, gosh, you got to do what you got to do, man. I think, dude, speaking of Rivaldo, bro, I'm going to go with you. I think he gets both. I think 5 touchdowns on the dot is a good number, just like I said with Cam. I think he'll be somewhere in there, maybe 4, but I'm definitely feeling the north of 450. Definitely feeling that. I think he's somewhere in the 500 to 600 range. I think he has an all SEC, maybe not first team, but an all SEC type season that's hiding because it's just Hugh knows where to put him, man. This is a big boy, dude. This is a big boy that can go up and get it, but he's not just a passing threat, right? That's the thing I like about it. And scheme wise, is he the best blocker? I don't know. Hopefully, Ike will do a film drop on him soon, and we can learn a lot more. But man, just I talk about it all the time in recruiting. Talk about it with some of these portal guys. One of our last episodes. Who's going after you? And everybody wanted Rivaldo. Everybody did, and we went and got him. So I'm expecting a big year from this kid.
Dustin, how deep is that tight end room this year?
I think it's slept on. I think it's really slept on. You know.
I do too. I think it's a talented room, and I just think Rivaldo Fairweather is going to be a difference maker. I really do. I look at him, and I know Ike did a film breakdown and everything, and he is that dude, man. He is he's going to make plays over the middle.
Yeah, I believe in him. This is one right here, though. And I want to we put this one up on Twitter. We didn't get all of them up on Twitter, but everybody agrees with us, Blake, because 76% of the people that voted on Twitter said over, only 24% say under. Everybody's kind of looking at Elvin Ingram and saying, okay, Hugh, we know what you're capable of. Let's see it. Now, this is the one right here, man. Peyton Thorne, expected to be the starting quarterback. Over or under 2,800 yards. I'll go first on this one. Last year, he had 2,679 yards, 19 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, 62.5 completion percentage. I'm going to go under, but I'm going to go slightly under. I think he finishes somewhere around 2,690-ish, 2,700. I think he's somewhere in there. And I'm gonna go because One, and our boy Mike G has talked about this a lot. Man, the majority of the starting quarterbacks in the SEC missed a game. And Peyton's not the most mobile guy. He's not a statue back there, but I just wouldn't be surprised if he missed a game or two. And obviously, that's going to affect his overall statistics. I think that when he gets into the red zone, and we'll talk about this here in just a second, I still believe you got to get 9 the ball. Whether it's 5 snaps a game, whether it's 10 snaps a game, that it'll still add up over the course of 12 games. Those will be snaps that he didn't get. So, and let's be real. If Peyton Thorne was to come in and throw for 2,700 yards, depending on what that completion rate and turnover percentage look like, dude, that'd be one of the better passing seasons in Auburn history.
Yes.
I'm gonna go slightly under because I think we're gonna obviously with Jarquez, we're gonna run the ball. I think Robbie's gonna get at least a handful of snaps. He's gonna have packages. I think we're gonna be a really good rushing team this year. I think that running the ball and establishing the run will be key, will be number one going into most games. That'll kind of be the way that it's set up for us to win. Me and you have concerns about stopping the run. So I think there will be some ball control that Hugh Freeze is going to have to do as well. So I just don't see this being, like I just said, I think that Cam Brown is our best wide receiver, and I don't think he's quite a one. I think you're going to have to get some production from the tight end. I just don't see an offense where you're going to have crazy passing numbers. I definitely think it'll be more efficient than the 50% completion percentage we had last year from Robbie. Definitely be more efficient, but I just don't see 28 yet. Hugh's going to have a 3,000-yard passer at Auburn. I do believe that, but I don't think it's going to be 28 quite yet. What say you?
I'm right there with you, Dustin. I'm going to go slightly under, and I'm right there at 2,700 yards. I mean, he might even get right there at 2,800. I mean, he might hit it on the head, you know. But I agree with everything you said. I think like once you get inside the red zone, I think Robbie will get some snaps. I think you're going to go to Jarquez and that bull, and you're going to ride him. And you even got Petit back there, Damari Alston. You're really loaded in the running back room. And I think this offensive line, like we talked about the other night, is going to be much improved. And you're going to be able to establish the run, and you're going to be able to pick up a yard or two when it's 4th and 2 in a crucial moment at Penn State. We're not going to be throwing fades and I mean, look, if you line up and you don't give the ball to your best damn player on 4th down, something is wrong. Okay. Let's establish the line of scrimmage. And when we get inside that red zone, let's give 27 the tater and let's pound the rock. So, like I said, I think I'm right there with you. I think Peyton Thorne's going to have a phenomenal year. I think he is going to light it up some games, but some games I think it might be toned back a little bit when he plays those elite defenses like a Georgia. I don't think he's going to throw for 300, 350. So those are the games that I kind of look at and I say, okay, well, that's that right there. That's where he's not getting to that 2,800 yard mark. So yeah, I like him slightly under there with you.
Do you think that the passing game, this is reasonable, but we also have kind of what we consider to be an easier non-conference the first 3 games. Do you think that the passing game just kind of starts slow and builds? Is that something you could see realistically happening? Or because I asked that because I see us going into Cal and just the focus being pounding the rock.
Yes. And that's what I said on Twitter the other day that's why I think if Jarquez plays, I know everybody is hung up on that whole situation, but I'm not looking at that right now. What I'm looking at is a 27 in the backfield at Cal Berkeley. And I think Auburn is going to establish the line of scrimmage. They're going to run the football. They're going to try to move people off the ball, especially an undersized Pac-12 unit. I think they're going to feast 27 and the others. All right. And that is why, yes, I agree with you on that point. I think the passing game will slowly come in for Auburn's offense. What do you got? You got A&M week 4?
Yeah.
So, yeah, by week 4,
needs to be clicking.
Yeah, it needs to be ready because we're going to College Station, and Peyton Thorne will see a real deal environment down there with the Colt.
And I just want people to remember that, because it's like these are so many new pieces, right? Mm-hmm. So many new pieces. Shane Hooks, Shorter, Fairweather, a whole new offensive line. If the passing game doesn't look as crisp as you would want it to in week 1 versus UMass, don't be freaking out. It's hard to complete passes, dude. It's hard. We've seen over the past 2 years how difficult it is. I do think, though, or at least I hope, that in time, as the season goes on, that'll look crisper, more clean. And by the time that you come into that Iron Bowl, man, that you really have them guessing and you have that balanced attack. Our boy, Blake, the guy that me and you refuse to give up on.
Yeah.
Last year, 14 overall touchdowns, 7 passing, 7 rushing. We don't believe he's going to be the starter week 1 this year, though. Over or under 7.5 total touchdowns for Robbie this year?
I'm going to go under. And the reason I'm going to go under is because I think if Peyton Thorne comes in here and the offense is clicking, I think if Auburn does get down in the red zone, I don't want to see Peyton come out necessarily. Like we saw that last year. We had to go through it. Now, I do think Robbie will get his touches, but asking 8 touchdowns for the over for Robbie, I just don't see it in the cards this year because of everything you have in the backfield, right? We've been on that this whole episode. I mean, you just have so many studs in the backfield this year that short yardage, you can just hand it off and bang, you can move somebody. So I'm going to go under unless Robbie just comes out and, obviously he takes the job and, is much improved in his short throws. I just think Peyton Thorne is going to be the guy. And I just think it's tough sledding for Robbie this year as far as reaching those types of numbers.
Yeah, because how does it look? If you move the ball down to the 15 and you've just gone on a nice 6-7 play drive and you're about to score, do you take – I mean, you're going to take the guy out and just move like you said, we just went through that. So for as much as I want to see Robbie in that situation, as much for there's a whole extra thing now that the defense has to account for, and it makes it tough down there in the red zone. You're changing up your whole offense. You're throwing off a groove. If those guys are clicking with Peyton, I'm going to go –
No, Dustin, like one thing I want to make clear is Robbie Ashford is not going to receiver either. So everybody's saying, like split him out at receiver and all of that. That's not happening. So, but like we said, I do think Robbie gets on the field because he's so athletic and he's hard to just sit over on the sidelines. I mean, it's hard for me to think he just sits there this year, right? But for him to get in the end zone 8 times this year, I just don't see it happening.
You know what would be a scenario would be, let's say you get 8-9 games into the season and then Peyton gets hurt. And then you come out that week and let's say it's Mississippi State. And they've seen all this film of the Peyton Thorne offense. And then you hit him on Saturday with a zone read, up-tempo, Robbie Ashford. It would probably look a lot like, obviously, what Hugh did with Malik Willis. We know firsthand what Malik Willis was and then what he became with Hugh Freeze. And listen, I don't want to hear about Malik's struggling in the NFL. Hugh's got to get him there, okay? Yeah. That's Hugh's job. Get him there. Got him there. Turn Malik Willis into a 3rd-round draft pick, bro. Like that was you maxed out his talent. Hugh maxed out his talent. So if it does come down to a situation to where you're in the middle of the season and all of a sudden starter gets hurt, like the majority of SEC starters did last year, and you got to slide in Robbie. One, you got a guy that's got experience. He started versus Georgia last year on the road. He started versus Bama last year on the road. He's not going to be shook, okay? He's been through all that. He did all that hurt last year. He showed you what he was made of. That's one thing I do like about the situation, man. I feel like now with Robbie as the backup, I'm comfortable. It feels a lot better than what it felt like last year when you have a situation where Holden Gurner's in there versus Missouri and you're just praying for the young kid's health.
Yeah.
So that is just something to kind of keep an eye on. But I'm going to go with 6 touchdowns, man. I'm going to go with 6. I just agree with you just because Payton was going to be the guy. I don't think that we're going to be world beaters on offense this year, but I do think that it's hard for me to envision the offense going to be stale. With Hugh Freeze, with Philip Montgomery, I do think it's going to be a top 50, top 40 type at the minimum offense in the country. I think we'll be moving the ball, we'll be scoring points, it'll look competent, and I just don't see you taking out swapping quarterbacks when you're moving the ball. That's just not a Hugh Freeze thing, and good coaches don't tend to do that. The good ones don't tend to do that.
Yeah, I mean, look, this isn't, it's not, you don't have Tebow coming off the sideline, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not a fan of it. Now, I think if you get down and there's a you want to run a little trick play if there's something like that where you can get Robbie on an end around or something, and then he can get to the sideline, because we know how elusive he is and we know he can cut on a dime and everything. I think that might be something there. But I just think you got too many horses on this offense this year to just keep interchanging things.
Yeah, we saw it. It was a disaster. Continuity is key. Continuity is key. We learned that firsthand.
And I'm also not big on the whole trick play thing. It killed us last year against LSU, the Coy Moore stuff. I mean,
dude, that was so bad.
Yeah,
I forgot all about that.
Yeah,
that was so. That was so bad. You get all the way down there, and oh my god, dude!
Bad.
Yeah,
bad.
You can keep that right there in the Mountain West. Blake, if we're gonna win any ball games, man, if we're gonna get to the 7-5, 8-4 mark, this right here is gonna be what it's all about. Yep. Jarquez Hunter, the Cowboy. He sat behind Tank Bigsby for 2 years, and it got to, and this is no shade at Tank. I love Tank, but it got to the point last year where you kind of were like, man, is Jarquez Hunter better? And it's not that Tank's not good, but look, 6.4 yards a carry on 668 yards, 7 TDs. He's just been waiting. He's just been sitting there waiting. We've been waiting to start him at running back 1 and just unleash him onto the SEC. I think everybody that's had to play him, everyone that's watched him play, knows what he's capable of. I'll kick this one off. Over under 1,200 rushing yards for Jarquez Hunter. It's tough, isn't it? And it's tough for one reason, because you don't know how many games he's going to miss. Let's just say, for the sake of this one, he misses 1 game. That fair?
Yeah, because that's the only thing. I'll be straight up with you. I don't know how you suspend him more than 1 game. I mean, I don't even say okay, I was going to say a half. All right, but let's just say a game. All right, he gets suspended a game. I still think he pops against Cal. I still think he pops against Samford for a half, because I don't see him playing any more than a half against Samford. And then, Texas A&M is going to be difficult, because we know what their defense is like. They're always stout on the defensive side of the football. But I still think there's games where he's going to eat, man. Ole Miss, he's going to eat. Mississippi State, he's going to eat. Vanderbilt, he's going to eat. So I think there is potential, even if he does get suspended a game.
Yeah, because if he's going on 12, I would give him plus 13. And one thing that I've thought of is, let's say he gets suspended 2 games, 2-3 games. What does that ultimately mean? That just means you get a fresher Jarquez coming in a little bit later in the season, and I trust the guys behind him to tote the pail. If you have to go into Cal, now it gets dicey. I agree with you. You feel a lot better with Jarquez coming into Cal. But if you establish yourself in the line of scrimmage, Damari Austin and Batty and I believe in Jeremiah Cobb. I think those 3 guys they could get you a win at Cal if you do the things you need to do with line of scrimmage. I would feel a lot better about that game with Jarquez, though.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go with 1,100. I'm gonna go under. I think Jarquez gets 1,100. I think that he does get suspended some. I do think that he misses a couple of games, and I think ultimately that affects his total.
You think he gets suspended a couple games and he has to sit out 1 or 2? Or
yeah, it's just like, yeah, I mean, and we don't know a whole lot, so like, yeah, this could change, obviously. I'm just judging off of the little bit that we've heard, and we don't. This is one of the things where the school's keeping this pretty close to the vest. I think that with what's happened, with unfortunately what is in the past, Hugh Freeze's past, and with some of what the reaction was from the national media and the very small portion of our fan base that just happened to be very loud, I think the school's going to cover every base with this. I don't think they're going to leave anything unturned, and I think that like you're just not going to get a whole lot because they got to protect everybody involved in this,
Yeah.
And there's reputations. There's just a lot of stuff that goes into this where I think they're going to tread really lightly. I think they're going to make sure that they don't do anything that can get anybody in any kind of trouble. And I don't think that it's going to be a lengthy suspension because one, knowing the way that Auburn football news works, we would have heard something. And if it was one of these things where Jarquez was going to be kicked off the team or some of the other guys that are involved in this were going to be kicked off the team, there would have been a bulletin board, like you would have heard something. So I think they're going to play, but I do think it's going to be a small suspension, a game or two. Hope I'm wrong, but I say that also not knowing what was done. So, maybe we'll find out. Kind of got a feeling we're not going to know too much about this one. It'll just kind of be what it's going to be. They'll say, this is what it is. Y'all need to move on. We're not really going to, because it's a sensitive subject. And we just don't know. We just don't know what will happen. But just on the field, man, I still think he's going to have a big year. I think he misses a game or two, and then I think it's on and popping for him. I like the depth in that room, and I think that it's going to be the focus. And I believe Hugh Freeze when he says, I've never had a running back as good as Jarquez Hunter. And I think that he's going to design up things and have things specifically for Jarquez. And I think he's going to be excited to do it. And 6.4 yards a carry, man. Like, he just had to share the load with Tank. Behind an offensive line that was super shake. Like, he had 6.4 yards a carry with that offensive line, with a offense that no one was respecting the pass. You weren't worried about Auburn passing the football last year. And Jarquez was still able to eat, dude. He's just a freak athlete. We see the squat videos. We see the workout videos. Jarquez is about to pop, dude. He's about to pop. He's about to have a big year. And let's throw a bonus question in here, Blake. Let's say that he does what we think he's going to do this year. Does he go pro?
Yes. If he gets 11, 12, 1,300 yards, Jarquez Hunter is going to the draft. I think he's that good.
Think he goes all SEC this year?
That's tough. That's tough. I do. Look, I'm gonna say I do. I think Jarquez is going to be the leader of this football team, and I think he is going to pop. I think he is going for 1,000. Now, if he gets to 1,200, I'm split on this because we don't know, right, Dustin? We simply don't know. If he plays all 12, I got him in the over. All right. If he doesn't, I have him slightly under. I still have him hitting 1K. So I do think he is going to. I think he's going to eat off this new offensive line. I do. And that is part of the reason why I had Peyton Thorne slightly under 2,800 yards. Now, I know we talk about all the time, like Hugh's going to have to throw the football to get these recruits, to get a Perry Thompson, get a Cam Coleman. You look in that 25 class at a Ryan Williams that Auburn fans they're just salivating over, right? But like you said, it's going to be fairly new this year. It's going to be your first couple games. You're going to have to get a little chemistry. It's not going to be out the gate popping. And that's why I think it's slowly you're gonna start run heavy, in my opinion. Auburn's gonna pound the rock, and you also have a Pac-12 opponent in there who is going to be undersized, just a hair in the trenches. So I think you're gonna run early, and then as the season goes on, this offense is gonna open up. It's gonna blossom a little bit, and that's why I think Jarquez is going to eat. If he plays the whole year, over 12. If he misses a game, maybe 2, I still think he can get to 1K.
Well, I'll tell you what else blossoms, Blake. Home field apparel.
Talk to me.
These guys right here, man, they got it going on. Go on to homefieldapparel.com, pick you out a t-shirt. I'm going to tell you what, they got one on there, 1957 National Championship Auburn t-shirt. Where else you gonna get that at? Where else you gonna find the 1957? Where else you gonna find the 1999 SEC basketball championship t-shirt? You're only gonna find it at Home Field Apparel, man. And when you do it, go on there, type in the code UPTEMPO, all caps UPTEMPO, get 50% off your first purchase. Let them know that we sent you, man. It would help us out a great deal. And look, if you do that, season's coming up, you're going to look fly as hell. If you do that, it'll help us out. Maybe we can get a better deal with them. And then you can get a larger chunk off of your next purchase. Maybe we can get that 15 bumped up a little higher. So help us, help you, and look fly, dude. That's the thing. Like, there's going to be 88,000 people in Jordan-Hare when we kick off versus UMass. You want to be the one that looks the best, brother. You want to be the one that looks the best. So check out our guys at Home Field Apparel, man. We appreciate them for sponsoring us and helping us out. It means a great deal to us. And on the Jarquez one, 70% to 30%, Blake, over 100 votes on the Twitter poll. People think Jarquez is going to eat.
They think he's going over.
They think he's going over. They think he's going to eat.
Love it.
Gonna eat. Now, the Robbie Ashford one, and that's my bad for missing that one. This was actually the closest one that we got, and it was still popping when I looked a second ago. Let me go back and check on it here. But that one was the closest one that we had on Robbie, and we got 52% to 48% under on Robbie Ashford at 7.5. And these polls won't be final until 10 o'clock tomorrow. I set them up for 10 o'clock tomorrow, and that's something we need to touch on as well. All of our episodes now will be loading on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. If you're on your way to work, 6, 7 in the morning, go ahead and pop the thing on Spotify, Apple, whatever it is you listen to. But if you want to catch us live, you want to catch the debut live, 10 a.m. after our guys at War Report do their morning drop, just stay on YouTube. We'll be on in a couple minutes. You can get in the live chat. I saw Blake last time. He was in there chatting with you guys. If I can step away from work for a minute, get away from my boss, I'll get in there and chat with you too. We definitely will be able to tomorrow because I'm off till Wednesday, baby. Thank you, Uncle Sam. Thank you, Uncle Sam, dude. So all of our over-unders, Blake, as we're wrapping this thing up tonight, have been offense. We're going to do 2 right here on the defensive side. And later on in the week, we're going to do an episode where we look at over-under totals for units. And that one we'll be able to focus more on defense because what are you really going to do with defense? Me and you talked about this the other night. Statistically wise for defense, it's going to be pretty even as far as individuals because Ron Roberts' scheme, we just think there's going to be a lot of guys. There's going to be a lot of different guys getting sacks. And who's going to be that guy? I spoke about how much I believe in Keldrick Faulk, but a big-time transfer that we brought in, Jalen McLeod from App State. Last year, he had 6 sacks, terrorized Jimbo Fisher in Texas A&M, dude. The boy 8. What he forced 2 fumbles on 1 play, and I think he ended up recovering. Or I know that they did at least, or his squad did. So over under, Blake. 6.5 sacks for Jalen McLeod.
Man, this is a tough one, ain't it, Dustin?
It's a tough one. Because somebody's going to lead the team to sacks.
Man, this is tough. I think he has the potential to, because I'm high on Justin Rogers, and I'm high on Justin Rogers forcing a double team on him. I think Justin Rogers. That's when last episode when I said I expect Justin Rogers to be one hell of a player. I expect him to eat in that middle. I think Justin Rogers is going to be an absolute force, and he's going to create a double team. And I think this could allow Jalen McLeod to pop. I think it could allow him to get to the quarterback. And in a Ron Roberts defense, what do we want to see, Dustin? We want to see pressure on the quarterback. 6.5. He got 6 last year. I watched him play against Texas A&M. He was a force in that game. Some really, really nice plays in the backfield. I know one. He kind of missed early, and then he wrapped back around and ended up making the tackle. It was a really impressive play, and I think that was on 3rd down, and it kept Texas A&M from getting a first. So, man, look, I'm gonna wear my orange and blue goggles here. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 8 sacks. Jalen McLeod 8 sacks. Yeah. Let's go with it. Let's go with it. Just because I'm big on Justin Rogers in the middle at the nose, and I think and Jason Jones. I think those guys are going to create havoc, and that's going to allow these other guys to eat and put some pressure on the quarterback.
Okay, I like that. I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna give him 5. And I'm
Okay.
going to give him 5 just because I think that he's going to have 5. I think that Keldrick Falk by the end of the season is going to have 5 or
Okay.
6. I think Cam Riley's going to have 4 or 5. I think Tolan might have 3 or 4. I just think it's going to be, I think some safety, some corners. You know, DJ James might have a couple sacks. I just, from what we know, or we've heard at least about Ron Roberts, he wants to cause havoc. He wants to create turnovers, which after what we witnessed last year, going games on end without creating turnovers, we're begging for that on defense. So I think he has a good year. I think he puts pressure on the quarterback. I think he rates out highly. I think that he's a kid coming from App State and is motivated coming into the SEC to prove and put on film for the NFL scouts that he can get it done. And I think he has a good year. I just think that with the scheme, I think everybody's going to eat.
Yeah.
I think everybody's going to eat. So I don't know if his individual numbers will be quite that good, but I think that he has a great year, and I think that it's a great pickup for us. Last one of the night, Blake. Last one here on the defensive side of the ball. DJ James has been setting up. We've heard about him all offseason. Everyone knows this. I would say he's the best player coming into the season on the team, probably over Jarquez. Going to be a high draft pick. We would have, we're all assuming he's going to be a high draft pick. Only 1 interception last year. I just mentioned the lack of turnovers. Kind of looking at the scheme change here between Jeff Smetting and Ron Roberts. You would think there's potential here. I put 2. Me and you had actually talked about right before the episode. We wanted to put it at 2.5. So let's go with 2.5. Over or under 2.5 interceptions for DJ James. He had 1 last year with 8 passes deflected.
This is a tough one. This is also, the defense is super tough. Let's go. I'm gonna wear my orange. I'm gonna keep the orange and blue goggles on. Let's go over at 3. And the only thing that worries me about going over with DJ is how many teams are gonna throw the ball his way.
It happened with Carlton Davis when he was at Auburn. They just didn't throw it on him.
Yeah, and I think really and truly that's why you only had 1 pick last year, is because now we saw he had a couple opportunities, a couple close calls, but that is my only concern is he's that lockdown guy. And I feel like he is Roger McCreary, where you really just don't throw his way. And when you do, bad things happen. But I'm going to keep the orange and blue goggles on here. And I think DJ James is set for a breakout year. I think he is one of the best corners in the country. PFF with an awful grade, not having them in their top 10. In preseason was just absolutely pathetic. PFF, what are you doing?
What are you watching?
I question myself on a lot of your polls, but I think DJ is going to have a break. Well, I can't say a breakout year, but I think he's going to eat. I think he is going to set himself up. I'll go ahead and make this prediction. I think he's going to set himself up as a first-round draft pick in the NFL draft. I think he is that good on the island, man. Like I said, I think that's one of the greatest positions in football, one of the freakiest athletic positions in football, and he checks every box for me. DJ James is that dude.
Blake showing love to a 251 kid. Why am I not shocked? But
it was coming, baby.
Hey, but DJ is that dude, man. I'm going over as well. 3's my number. I got 3 interceptions as well. Yes, if he doesn't get there, it's going to be because he's locked down. But I want to say that it was a 5-game stretch last year where we didn't get a turnover on defense.
Yeah.
And even I'm not 100% on that, so don't quote me, but I want to say it was 5. I know we went like 3. And that in itself is crazy because me and you were talking about it at the time. We were just like, bro, how in the hell in college football are we not getting turnovers? It just because even if you're not creating them in college, you would think the other team would mess up some. And you would just find the ball, and we kept turning it over on offense, and just the Sean Clifford, Owen Papo is a perfect example.
Yes,
you rock, cuz, and the ball just sitting there floating. You could have changed you could have set the tone right there.
What about Kaufman at Ole Miss? All right, we make a tackle. I think it was Dart who fumbled. and Kaufman is like the ball is like at his feet, bro, and we just couldn't get on it. And that was a game changer because Ole Miss ended up getting that football back, and they scored on that same drive. So I get it, man. It's frustrating.
If I'm not mistaken, I probably text you in all caps a whole bunch of F words after that. I was so over us not getting the ball on defense, dog. It just didn't make sense.
And you know, the struggle, Dustin, was even against like San Jose State. You know, we couldn't get a turnover, and that's why that game was so close.
I knew we sucked. That's the game I knew we sucked.
Yes, I knew we sucked against Mercer. I can go ahead and tell you that. I saw that and I said, "Hey, we're terrible." But whatever.
I'm gonna go with 3, and I just think we create more, bro. I just think we create more turnovers as a whole, and I think DJ is gonna be in position to do it. Whether it be quarterback off his back foot trying to throw out a sack, I just think we're gonna create more pressure on quarterbacks. We're gonna cause more havoc, like I said, with Jalen, and I just think the opportunities will be there. I think 3 is the perfect number, so I'm gonna go over. And Blake, man, before we get out of here, dude, just want to say, bro, like big shout out to the War Report guys. We got a lot of things planned, man. As y'all know, we've signed with those guys at the War Report Network. So a lot of cool things coming in the future for this podcast. A lot of things outside of podcasting that we're working on that are going to be a lot of fun. Before I kick it to you, man, for the final word, I just wanted to tell everybody out there on Tuesday, man, just take a second to stop and think. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to get caught up in the mix and say, this is going how I want it to go. And I know that 2020 was really frustrating and we all kind of got shook. But the United States of America is still the greatest country in the world, dude. It really is. And it didn't get this way on accident. And there was a cost. There was a cost that had to be paid. A lot of people have lost their lives so we can go to these football games, so we can get on these podcasts and talk and bullshit and do all the and act silly and do all the things that we do, so we can go to Tiger Walk and hang out with our friends that we haven't seen. I can't wait to be with everybody again the weekend of UMass. Study human history. If you think it's so bad in America right now, study human history. Just look at how people have lived forever since the start of mankind, and then look at the privileges and the freedoms that you have. They took people, Blake, just regular citizens back in the Revolutionary War. They would come to people's house, not fighting, and just, hey, are you loyal to the crown? Are you loyal to the revolutionary? Yeah. And they would say, I'm loyal to my countrymen. I'm loyal to the colonists. I'm loyal to the cause. And they would take those people and they would put them on boats out in the harbors, out in the bays, outside of Brooklyn, Boston, and just keep them there, not feed them, whatever. Keep them there, barely feed them enough to keep them alive. We'll keep them there for years. All you got to do is swear your allegiance to the British, and then you're home free. And nobody did. Over 11,000 people died on those boats. A lot of sacrifices, man, made for your freedom. Yes. So when you're shooting fireworks, bro, do not forget that. That's all I ask. And war damn eagle.
Love that, Dustin. Great piece there from you. One thing I want to talk about to wrap this one up for my final word is there was a softball player that come out today on Twitter, on social media, and I'm not going to say her name because that's not my business. But she had a tweet and said that she will not be using her last year of eligibility. She will not be transferring. She has given up the game of softball. And it sucks. When you play a game 18 out of 22 years of your life and you devote your life to that game and you, bleed, sweat, cry, whatever, give every ounce of energy you have in your body to that game. And you come out and say, hey, I can't think of myself playing another game of softball right now, just due to the pure anxiety that I would get. And, it's tough, because now we hear of all these girls that are transferring, and we're starting to see the reason why they're transferring. Things are starting to come out, Dustin. And, I think there's a problem. I'm going to come out and say it. I think there's a problem. I think there is a problem at the top in Auburn softball, and I think there needs to be a change made.
Couldn't agree with you more, brother.
And when these females are coming out saying that they can't do it anymore, there's obviously something going on there, and there needs to be a change. And the athletic director, who is now at Auburn University, did not hire this man, but you can fire him. I saw that tweet a while ago. I can't remember who tweeted it. I would love to shout you out, but there needs to be a come to Jesus meeting, and there needs to be a discussion, because you're now losing the thick of your roster. You were losing your studs, and Auburn softball might be at the bottom of the conference next year because we have a head coach that just I don't think he's the dude. I don't think he's the guy. Maybe he doesn't treat people with that kind of respect, and that's what I'm going to say about it. And I think there needs to be a serious sit down talk and discussion at Auburn University.
Yeah, well, we just saw with Harsin, right? Where, man, at some point, when everybody's abandoned his ship, you got to look at the captain.
Yep.
I mean, one guy, two guys, or in this case, ladies, it's one thing. But at this point, like, bro, and then you don't have the W's to back it up. That's my thing. 6 years and you've never been out of regional. So take all the other stuff away from it. 6 years you've never been out of regional. To me, that's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. Because what are we trying to do here? We're trying to get by. We're trying to get by. How? Because we just did that in baseball. We were trying to get by with Sonny Galloway.
Yes. You
can't try to get by. You were trying to get by with Tony Barbie in basketball. You can't try to get by. We try to get by with a long time with Gus Malzahn. Let's build this softball program back up to where we've seen it be before. Let's do it ethically this time. But it's possible. So I agree with you there, man. I definitely agree with you there. So listen, man, we appreciate everybody for joining us Monday morning, Wednesday morning, Friday morning, 10 a.m. on the YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple, all that as well. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Appreciate you guys, man. Like and subscribe. We're at 392 as of right now. So 108 from 500, man. Tell your friends, share this out on social media. Let everybody know the Up-Tempo podcast, man. We're here to change the game. We're here to do big things with our guys over the War Report. Appreciate everybody for listening. And until Wednesday, man, we love y'all. War damn Eagle.